Hello, YouTube and Twitch and all you people out there. This is Juggling Lessons. I'm here with Reed Nicewander, who's writing topics. I'm also here with Mark Solomon, the
Hey everybody.
producer, author, the performer, the what do we call it, of the Being Reasonable podcast. He's not actually
Glad to
here
be
though,
here.
because you can see, yeah, he's sort of just here, you know, in air quotes. He's here. You know,
I
in
tell you, this
some
is
ways,
really
it's not
exciting because
valid.
I think I've seen every episode of Cordial Curiosity, and to be on it is exciting.
Excellent.
No
Excellent.
problem. This is the Twitch version of it, so it's about the same. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Not nearly as polished. This is
good.
much more throwing all the spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah.
You get to see how the sausage is made, and other idioms.
Yes.
Sure.
I hear Quinn saying, "I'm sorry, I thought I was muted." Oh, we don't mind. We don't have an interlocutor yet. Foot traffic is what it is. Hello, Mark. Good to see you.
Well, it's great to be here. It's I love listening to both of you perform SE, and it's a really it's my pleasure absolutely to be able to talk to you.
Thank you, Mark.
No problem.
So tell me about your Being Reasonable podcast. What's been happening lately?
Well, we're still going forward with it. The reason I like to do this, it's a podcast, but it's also a radio show. And I like to do it as a radio show because I want people to come across it by accident and not
Okay.
necessarily be looking for it. And that's I want people to stumble across it. So that's why I do it that way.
Oh, it's also a radio show. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Where does it go out to?
Right. So it's local for stations here like Asheville, Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh, and for North Carolina, where's my home base. And of course, you can also hear as a podcast as well. I think that my last episode, I had somebody who practiced hypnotism, and I thought that was interesting. It was the first time I ever talked to someone about that, and I don't really know too much about it, so it was a bit of a learning experience for me. I don't know if either of you two ever talked with a hypnotherapist or someone who believed in
Yes.
hypnotism. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've had family and as close go into that as a getting 2 years of training in it and that kind of thing. So I'm familiar with it, and mostly I'm not all that friendly to it.
Let's see how this one.
Oh, you're not too friendly to it.
I'm not too friendly to hypnotism the way I was exposed to it from family members who got into it. I thought it was not very effective, or seemed to rely a lot on unfalsifiability. Now, I've also experienced some hypnotism and in my life, which I actually thought was great. So I'm not shut off to hypnotism in general. I've just been I've had a low opinion of some of the hypnotism training that I've seen.
Yeah, I hear you're coming from, and I think where I got stuck a bit was the reliability of a hypnotic state, in the sense of how is that measured, and is it? And it seems like it's not. That it's not different from other states of consciousness, at least that can be measured. And so I had difficulty getting past that.
Okay.
Just of what it is. It seemed like it could be anything.
Uh-huh.
It was difficult to differentiate
Cool,
from
cool.
other things and other states of wakefulness, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
that I think that
it
that
seems
was
like
where
there
I
would be
had.
some predictions like this kind of suggestion can lead to this much of a measurable result on the other side. And if you can't show that, what have you got?
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because, um, especially like in the fields of psychology and other fields, I guess I think hypnotism is pretty common, and I I really didn't know too much about it, and I just thought that there would be a little bit more evidence that supported it,
Hmm.
and I, I just it was a bit of a learning experience, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of psychology that's finding itself in a similar boat, where
Yeah.
it seems to work, but it, if really forced to prove it, would have a hard time showing that, at least to the level the court would be happy or a
Well, it's really
scientist.
interesting because psychology is having kind of a crisis right now of
Yeah, replicability,
studies
is
being
that the
able
one?
to uh-huh, that so
Yeah.
many of the like the keystone studies that set forth theories and many things, they're hard to reproduce,
Uh huh.
and it's kind of the field of psychology is sort of coming having a coming to Jesus moment. um,
Hmm.
I don't know if that was a good analogy or not.
Sure, it's fine. We're insensitive to it.
Yeah. So I've been trying to talk to more psychologists now because of that. I think I talked with
Uh huh.
it hasn't aired yet, but someone who practices psychodynamic psychotherapy, which is, the ego and the id and the superego. And
Uh huh.
I didn't think people really practice that too much anymore, but there are practitioners of that. And that was a kind of interesting conversation.
Uh huh.
And with the field of psychology, it's interesting how there's the science aspect, but there's also mm, kind of an art aspect and part of it that's just heuristics and not really backed up by science.
Okay, so it's true by definition, but that might not predict something in the real world. Is that what you mean by it's based in heuristics? Or
It just
maybe
we
I'm not sure.
psychologists do things certain ways, and
Yeah.
and there's research to support some of it, but there's a lot of there's a lot of uh I'm trying to think, just poetic license practicing out there, I would say, of what
Right.
works and what
Right.
doesn't work and what theoretical models you're working out of.
Cool. Cool. Bring Reed in. We were just talking about psychology having a bit of a come to Jesus moment over the replicability crisis,
Yeah, it's an
and
issue.
maybe a slight idiosyncratic practice that different practitioners have their own theories they're operating from, and therefore there's a variability between what's normal practice.
Yeah, I remember Eric saying something about that on his
Hmm.
interview or at some point. There's like various theories
Yeah,
and
it's really interesting.
yeah,
Psychology is the field is really in a crisis right now of
Hmm.
things that we thought were true, big T,
Hmm.
turned out quite possibly not to be. And
Mm.
so and psychology, at least when I was in grad school, psychologists want to be treated like it's the field is a hard science, and when in fact
Yeah.
it's being kind of a loose social science. It's hard to nail some of these things down.
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Well, is big data a solution?
How
Is it
so?
possible for us? Is this something measurable? Is it examinable? Is it the problem that we just can't hold it still enough to see it, or what's the issue? Do you think? What's the reason
Um,
why it's difficult to come up with clear truths about this stuff?
that's a great question. I mean, I think the nature of being human, that there's a subjective element to that. that makes it difficult. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Okay. Um, I think it's very difficult to study a thing that knows it's being studied, because so much of the time, if somebody wants to be cooperative, they want to give you the result they think you're looking for. Um, it go, I have this filed under lights in the factory example, where they said, you know, we'd like to measure productivity and figure out what the optimum lighting in the factory is. So we're going to be fiddling with the lighting, and please try to ignore it and just move on. Boom, boom. And every time they fiddled with the lighting, up or down or whichever, it didn't matter. It would increase productivity. That the
That's a great
very act
analogy.
that people knew their productivity was being measured drastically influenced their productivity, at least in the short term. So it really, really blinded the people studying what would be the optimum lighting. So that's, at least that's how I have it filed. I'm sure there's really good names for that. But I
Yeah.
think that's where the blinding comes in. And for ethical reasons, we don't allow people to be tested without at least knowing that they're being part of something tested. They might not know what, but they're aware of it.
Yes. And that's after many problems in the early field of psychology, where people would be shocked, like electrically shocked and things like that. And we decided
Yes.
that's probably not
Yeah.
a good thing to do without permission. And right.
Seems like Milgram is the word that comes up for that one, but I'm not sure if that's correct at all.
Yeah, that's
Milgram,
actually.
yeah.
I was going to say that,
Yeah.
but you are obviously aware.
Yeah, I've got a friend who's specifically concerned about such things professionally. So I've been taught a little about it, but only as much as to know the names of the things, not to be able to do anything with them. I'm sure I know a lot more about quantum theory than that. I can't do quantum theory.
We are
No, it's
complex.
interesting. I don't know if you guys have had this experience,
entity.
but I don't know how often. It seems more recently when I practice SE, quantum mechanics is usually it's often thrown in by my interlocutor. It just like to show you anything that wants to be shown.
Yep.
That's how it's used.
Yes.
It's
It-
To show you that truth can be.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's like the most popular, like the most fad God of the Gaps area
Yes.
in contemporary society, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. If you put quantum in front of something, you're allowed to change all the logic that applies to it.
Right. It's to show you
Which
that
is
there's
only
no such
slightly
thing as big T truth, or yes. Yeah.
Right. Yes. If you need to get rid of gradient thinking and go binary, you can use quantum to get you there. If you need to go
Right.
into gradient thinking instead of binary, you can use quantum to get you there. Yeah, no problem.
What's your
You
typical
can do it either way.
response what's your typical, because I've handled it different ways when someone brings up a
Mhm.
quantum mechanics example. Is there a way that you address that typically, or does it depend on the claim at hand?
I work toward what they're trying to get to, and I'm not an expert in quantum to know whether or not their quantum would apply in the case that they're calling it for. Sometimes I do know that, for example, it does not apply. Like if they say there has to be a conscious observer to collapse a waveform, I no, an observer is any particle that carries information away from the system. There's some things for which people can say things and they just get the definitions wrong. But generally speaking, in SE, I'm really trying to just understand them, so I don't have to get it right. I just have to get what they mean.
Yeah.
If they're saying quantum means that we're all connected in the energy field, I go, okay, yeah, I can understand what you mean. And depending on what you mean by field and energy and all those things, that depends on whether you're talking about what physicists talk about or not. But that's fine. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I usually hear it
switch to
described in the sense that we can all have our own realities because we can have two particles
Yeah.
they can exist, or right.
Yeah, that just takes us right down the Tic Tac route. Boom.
Yeah.
Because yes, I agree that there's that like the standard logic of A not A excluded middle, all that sort of thing falls apart at quantum. But I didn't need that logic anyway.
Yeah.
Coming for us.
They're almost hovering.
Yeah, basically a helicopter's hovering right above us.
Now, we are even closer to the LAPD heliport location.
Oh, shit.
We are basically, we cut the distance. Echo Park is that way, the heliport is that way.
Okay, well, I assume they're not there for you.
I would assume they're not.
Yeah, it's fine.
Those
Probably
SE
doing
agitators
some
out in the
B-roll.
park.
Yeah, who knows? But it's sonically interesting. I actually don't know how loud that is for you. Anyway, so your latest shows. What? Tell us about a few of your recent podcasts on being reasonable.
Yeah. So I think when I talked to you before, I might have mentioned that people who come on my show is kind of a self-selection, in the sense
Yeah.
that I probably need to ask about 20, 25 people. I have to reach out to that many people to get a guest.
Uh huh.
And they don't
Free
know me
water?
from Adam, and I get it, but it's and so the people who come on.
We're also doing free speech,
Yeah.
interviewing you if you like.
Yeah.
Want to give it a shot? You're good.
I don't think we have an interlocutor. He's interested
yet.
but not moving toward.
There.
Continue, please, Mark.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that changes the dynamic from what you're doing, because you have people actively approaching you, and
Yeah, it's a
And,
different dynamic. In this case, I think in your case, they know right up front that they are going on a radio show. And so all of their stage fright happens before they make any agreement or buy in to move forward. Here, we have this nice little agreement that they agree to receive a bottle of water from us. and so they feel slightly obligated to hear us out, right?
I give out
that's
chicken
very
eggs,
important.
but go ahead.
Yeah, that works. Chicken eggs are good. They've wandered off, so we don't have an interlocutor at the moment. But then the way Reed has a board with 6 little suggestions gets people thinking. If they're strongly opinionated and need to say it, well, they're ready to go. And then as they're approaching here, we say, by the way, we're live stream recorded, that kind of thing. And some people go, oh, okay, never mind. And others are like, oh, that's fine. To where? To, well, YouTube and Twitch. And they think that's necessarily small time. Now, in our case, it certainly is. But it
Yeah, and
doesn't
I think
have to.
and recently, for people who come on my show, they'll readily admit that they've seen like 8, or they've listened to 8 of my shows, or like the whole catalog of shows, and so
I'm not sure.
they know in that sense precisely what they're stepping into, and so that kind of changes
Yeah.
the dynamic that way. It's good that I have people thinking about it, but I think it kind of can make it kind of strange, because people
Yeah.
will come up with some really unusual arguments to try to parse apart. They can have their truth and eat it too, kind of thing.
Check.
I hear you well.
What happened?
I don't know. It seems to be coming in and out, depending on how you...
How about now? Testing.
Okay, sounds good.
Still good?
Yeah. Do you hear you? Do you hear him?
Can you hear me? I don't have any headset on.
Oh, okay. Yes, we hear you.
I can probably find a headset somewhere.
Yes.
Should be working.
FKS for the weather report?
It's 68, sunny. Out here at Los Angeles State Historic Park.
For people with standard good Celsius degrees, that's 20.
20.
Yes.
You did it off the top of your head.
Yes. Civilized units, 20. Okay,
I'm willing to trade metric for Fahrenheit. Like, everyone go Fahrenheit and metric.
Really? You prefer Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems better for temperature.
Interesting.
It's like 100 is dead, 0 is really close to, like, that's freezing, right?
Yeah, Fahrenheit was originally designed that 100 should hit body temperature.
100 should hit body temperature?
Yeah, 100 was body temperature and 0 was salted ice.
Okay.
That was how Fahrenheit.
I only speak in Kelvin, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I hear you. So to be very specific, it is 293.15 right now, but that is far too precise. It's not nearly that close. 290 something Kelvin. Yeah, the primary goal is to get real life guests. This is a new location. We are trying to find locations that have enough traffic and the kind of traffic for people who are interested in stopping by and speaking with us. And we can only figure that out by actually trying it.
Yeah, there doesn't seem like that many people around.
Yeah, we're still at like half of Echo Park, but at Echo Park, I think because there are a number of other attractions and distractions, people are more tuned to maybe a willingness to stop and engage. Right now, we've had very, very little stop and engage. Most people are running with their blinders on.
You should ask some Jehovah's Witness for some advice on what locations work best.
Yeah.
Have you ever had people actively find out where you are and seek you out? Like when they know you're reporting?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, and we do that through the meetup group. So if they join the meetup group, they will have the details and the directions all automated and well ahead of time. And I think right now there's about 70 or 80 people in the meetup group.
Not sure.
How does that work?
Let me check.
How does the meetup group work?
It's an app, and people have, we said LA area SE in the park kind of meetup group. What's the name of it? LA
Street Epistemology, Los Angeles. Stroke causing delay.
Yes. He's using a Bluetooth mic and Bluetooth headset, and oh man, is it tough for him. Anyway. Right, no strings attached. Very much, yeah. Anyway, so we have had that. That's how I originally got to hook up with Reed. Maybe hook up's a bad term.
And these are people who want to practice SE or people who want to be SE'd?
People who want to practice, typically.
Okay.
If you want to be SE'd, it's so easy to do so on the Street Epistemology Discord. Just go out there and say, hey, I have this claim. Would somebody examine it, please? And then work out priorities. I'd like to first come, first serve. No, I want experience. Okay, three people show up and they work it out amongst themselves or something. So it's really easy to do that. Anyway, the Street Epistemology Los Angeles meetup is encouraged, and we've had starts with a B. Wife owns a pizza place. Barrett, thank you. We've had Barrett come out, and we've actually I think in this last year we've had 5 other epistemologists come out and visit with us at some point. Quinn being among them. And I'm not counting Anthony. When Anthony showed up, that was just special, wonderfuls. Everything worked out.
Well, I saw the episode where Peter showed up. I thought that was
yes.
fascinating. How did that come about?
That was good.
Did you just reach out to him?
Because you know Peter.
Yeah, I went to an event in Aspen, Colorado, where he was speaking with Jim and Helen. And afterwards, his book was about to come out, or had just come out, and he wanted to market it. So I offered for him to come, and I would record him doing conversations.
Okay, and this is the Orange Book, yes?
The Orange Book, yeah.
Okay.
How to have him positive conversations. And he flew down, and we spent 2 days, shot a bunch of interviews. I wonder if we could... I have a bunch that was never released. We could probably do more SE video review streams with those unaired conversations.
Oh,
maybe.
that'd be rocking.
I could do a highlight of the best that never made it.
Yeah, that would be extra. I'd love that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Watching. I think this happened on the New Discourses channel. Like the first 6 videos were produced by you with your equipment and with Peter. And I think those. I'm not actually sure where those happened. It seems like those were Runyon.
Those were at USC and Runyon.
USC and Runyon. Okay.
I don't think any of the USCs made it online.
Okay. In that particular case, I kind of found myself set back and thinking, wow, Peter, who's really got the theory down, really doesn't have the practice of this thing. He's failing to shoot his messengers really bad. What's up with that? But I think as a teacher, he's got a very different mindset, much more of a willingness to intervene, and probably a lot more rapport build up and things like that. So he's tuned differently.
Sure.
Fun. FK asked, is the external speaker on? Kimberly, do you hear the external speaker? No, we're not hearing the external speaker. Apparently we have stolen both the Bluetooths from it. In the moment, that's true.
Did I steal Kimberly's headphones?
No, she has 2. Right now she's using her single ear headphone, which works pretty well.
Okay.
And what may have happened is that we stole the Bluetooth transmitter from one device to another.
Maybe.
There are children running down the hill, which is all great, except that there's also cactus on that hill. If they make an error, it's going to be very unpleasant. Yes, that is one of the things it's called. Definitely.
Figured out what snow sledding on a hill with cactus on it did.
Oh. Kimberly just said a bad thing. Snow sledding on a hill with cactus. Oh.
You don't know about it till after you scrape through.
Wow.
It says I'm pairing now on my headphones.
Uh-huh.
Connected.
Okay, you're not on site right now. You're somewhere else, right?
No, he's. If you look in the ultra wide, I'm going to switch over to it. You'll see that Reed is standing at the standing location where the wide shot is, and also we can sit there and have a conversation while the table is still open, and therefore we found that if we're both sitting up at the table, people assume that we're in the middle of an interview, and they don't engage.
Yeah.
So we got to have an open spot at the table, or they don't know that there's room for them.
Right.
You've got speaker.
I have speaker. Okay.
So now we just wait.
Yeah, we just wait. So thank you, Mark, for coming by. I will be listening for your further podcast, as I have
Yeah, I
time to put
appreciate it.
podcasts directly in my ear. Oh, there was one further question. If we are so cherry picking that we say, wow, there's a Being Reasonable podcast that we would love to put on the SE podcast,
Yeah, of course.
are you generally amenable to that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
I don't make a
Cool,
cent
cool.
off this. Doesn't matter to me.
Right. That's the same way we're handling it.
Right.
Yeah. Mostly we're trying to avoid people having a profit motive, but and I say we. I'm not at SEI, but my understanding is that SEI's intention is not to ever encourage a profit motive, but definitely to help make this hobby less painful financially for people. If they want to do it,
Right.
you can do it. Yes, so we're 30 minutes in.
One thing I've noticed
I
about
think it's part-
Reed's equipment is that it's really it's improved since I seen you in the early days. You have a lot more going
Uh-huh.
on.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a. There's so much it's almost tacky.
It's gotten better.
I'm just poking at the word tacky because it's one of those things we need to define what that means. But yeah, it is elaborate.
Yeah.
I think if I were to train, if I had to say, hey, go get that thing, and I'll talk to you on the phone on how to do the setup. I think 3.5 hours later we'd be still on the phone going, okay, now, please take me a picture so I can look at it all and figure out what's not there.
But what do you guys edit your videos in? What program do you use?
Final Cut.
Yep. I use Lightworks and haven't touched it in. No, I did touch it for one thing, but I've only done one editing task in the last 3 months. So, managed to avoid that job. Oh yeah, tacky is definitely subjective. Yep. I mean, the work all goes in. It just has to go in before the show rather than after. Or maybe during.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the way you guys do your shows, what's the most labor-intensive part of it?
Getting here and setting up.
Yeah.
Not getting kicked out.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that is the toughest part, is actually connecting interlocutors. And it's a bit too early for me to say, but this park is not thrilling me yet. It looks
this
really
is
nice.
It's a test run.
It's a test run.
This is the day.
And when you do the regular...
That's true. This is the day
show-
after Thanksgiving. Maybe. Go ahead, Mark.
You're not gonna
Oh,
have
no,
normal
no.
traffic.
It's going to be worse.
Oh, someone's coming.
You
Oh,
don't know?
listen.
Maybe people want to walk off their big meal.
They could all be shopping.
Oh, it's Black,
it's Black Friday. Oh,
That's true.
I want to avoid
the nationwide super spreader event. Holy crap, Black Friday. Oh.
And like Dolly, how many shows do you do? How many people would you say you interview, and to get one that you think is airable?
I air all of
You
them.
need all of them.
I air
Oh.
all of them because I do it live.
For me,
Yeah.
5 to 10.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah,
And when
for
and when
an
you when
SE
you
show,
can't
quite idiosyncratic. Go
and
ahead.
when you don't air a show or a segment, what's the primary reason? Would you say is the reason you don't like that segment?
Read first.
So it just drags on. You mean like that?
That
what
isn't
you're
no.
saying?
That actually happened at El Prado. 2 of the conversations were not able to be aired because of a local power failure in North Macedonia.
Oh, no electricity for real.
So we had 12 interlocutors, and we only released 10 video. But go ahead. Reed. The primary reason why that the 80 or 90% don't make it to air.
I guess entertainment value
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
/ educational value for SE. If it's just
Right.
a claim we've heard, reasons we've heard over and over.
Have you ever had
It's
someone?
nothing too interesting.
Have you ever had someone? I've had it once. Happened once. For the lack of a better term, lose their shit.
Not really.
Hmm.
Some people have gotten a little heated,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
never flipped a table or gotten up and just stopped.
Yeah.
Because
I try to desperately do everything I can for that
Spidey.
not. So
Yeah,
when that
yeah.
does
For
happen,
rapport to go
actually
negative is
quite surprising.
The rapport is my first score, no question.
Yeah, yeah.
If you look back at, I think, Runyon Canyon 2 or something, 3 or something, there's one with Pete and Spidey, where Spider-Man came by and along with Pete, and there was an obvious rapport fail, and
Yeah.
they didn't. The interlocutors didn't like huff off. They just about 3 times in a row sort of suddenly disconnected and became very distracted. And if it was one distraction, you could say, "Huh," but 3 distractions in a row, and they're each there. And to some small degree, I think I may have failed to shoot the messenger a little bit because he was talking about sexual purity, and I introduced the question of poly into the mix, and I think that just wigged him out. And it might have been a little messengery wrong, might have been a little too direct. But in any case, that's where it failed. That's where it crashed and burned.
Yeah, and I do everything I can for that not to happen. So, I mean, and it happens. I mean, you
Yep.
just sometimes you'll get a person who's,
Yeah.
they're not quite as stable as you'd hope, and you don't realize that going in. So, yeah.
I figure if it happens, yeah, slow walkers behind. If it never happens, if it happens less than 1% of the time, I think I'm really likely not pushing hard enough. I'm not pushing to the other goals enough. And if it happens more than 5% of the time, I'm probably pushing too hard. That's where I'm holding my calibration.
Well, I think it's a lot
between
harder for
101
you
and
than it
20.
is for me because
Is it?
I before the interview I'm talking with him, and then I have a whole hour where I'm building up to maybe some more difficult, cognitively challenging questions, and you guys are going in quickly within like a 5 minutes, and that's impressive.
And 5 minutes is a myth, I think. I rarely get less than 15, and I'm easily to go 45. And Reed is encouraging me to think of having a 30-minute timer as a max for these kind of events, and I have no problem doing that. Also,
Why the limit?
He didn't specifically say.
Just so we can get more people if they're available.
Yeah, it was that's a good reason. I can think of several reasons. For one, I don't want to, unless somebody's really enthusiastic and really opts in and wants this hugely long conversation, I don't want to pull somebody off their walk for the entirety of the time they had available to walk. That kind of thing. So it's partially for their time. Also, I think the amount of progress that I'm trying to make in a session is a lot less than what maybe you're doing for an hour. You're probably looking to make a focused thing where you take them not just to the brink of a thing, but maybe through a transition of thinking about one thing differently, maybe.
That's a great way to put that.
Yeah, so for me, I'm all thumbs up if we get to an aporia, if we can get to, oh, they just recognized something that made them really have to think at least once. I'm done. It's sufficient.
Yeah, I think with a Being Reasonable show, I try to take them kind of on a journey. And hopefully we can get to that place we're going together. Sometimes it's a tall order.
Yep. Oh, that's cool. You threw the still of today's topics in there.
Yeah, what do you think of those?
I can't see them clearly enough. Now that's not because I can't see well enough. It's because intentionally the return feed that I get is only enough so that I can see people's expressions. It's not enough for me to see text, and that's to save bandwidth. Like 144p or something. Go ahead.
Is climate change a threat?
Okay.
Are all cultures of equal moral worth? Is there such a thing as not racist?
Okay.
Does liberalism enable fascism?
Interesting.
Are any gender norms here to stay?
Okay.
Has any human walked on the moon?
Nice. Yeah. Definitely counterintuitive to not speak your own mind.
So I have a question for you guys, and feel free to,
Yes.
if it's too personal, let me know. That's fine. What
Okay.
do you? And I'm happy to describe my experiences too. What happens to be family members' reactions to this glorified hobby that you've embarked on, like I've embarked on?
Okay. Read first. Your family members?
I've only really
You
showed my
choose.
mom non-religious examples, and I don't think she knows how to find me otherwise.
Really? What?
What was
So
it?
I don't really know too much about this.
Okay, so you've intentionally
Oh, your mom
kept
doesn't
them
know you
blind
do
from
this?
it.
She does. I've showed her non-religious examples because she's still religious.
Okay. Kimberly?
So I don't really
Would
know
you
what
be
they
willing
think.
to be on camera?
Wow.
Kimberly? No. Okay, so she has her answer. She's standing back there saying, no. She doesn't want to show up on my camera and answer the question. So I'm going to say some things, and she can nod or not as she chooses.
What about wide shot audio only with this thing?
I don't know, but Kimberly's interested in this process. I think she's slightly more interested in seeing how all of the technical, mechanical parts go together than the actual SE. Although she keeps warming up to the idea of learning it, and she does really well. She asks all the right questions and all the right times. She's just not very interested in doing it publicly. My other two spouses are very supportive. My whole family is
Wait.
very supportive of the thing. They're seeing what's going on. They're often watching it live.
Did you see other two
Naya is
spouses?
helping by being the treasurer. Pardon?
You said other two.
Yeah, I have two wives and a husband.
Oh,
Kimberly,
okay.
right behind over my shoulder here, is one of my wives, and then there's Naya and Foyle,
Yeah.
and then I have. Well, anyway, that of course, there's other family further outside that, and I haven't really gotten any significant feedback outside my family of four on the topic. It's mostly been, oh, I'm glad you have a new hobby. I hope it's working out well. And
Yeah.
that's as much as I get, which is fine. But my intimates are very aware of it, very familiar, and very supportive, and they all have different opinions about it. but for the most part, very positive, and they're very happy with how it's changed the way I communicate.
Oh.
I am
How,
I am
how does that?
60% less asshole.
That's significantly less asshole.
Yeah, it is significantly less asshole. So that's been a real benefit.
How has your communication style
stuff.
changed? You mean like your ability to restate, reflect, and like report stuff, or other stuff?
Yes, restate and reflection, an understanding of the value and the actual practice of steel manning the other's position. If I can tell them their position the way they really think it, the way they really do it, and especially if I can somehow wrap some words around it that are even better than theirs, they get really loved. They really feel loved. So that's huge. Shooting my
Steel manning
messenger is
someone's
where
position, they sometimes get floored with that when they're not expecting.
Oh yeah,
it. It's kind of
it's a huge thing. It feels like such a nice hug. So that's huge. Of course, they've gotten used to me being so neutral when they tell me a thing, because I'll shoot my messengers so hard that they will actually not know where I stand at the end, and they've become used to that. That at first that was weird. I would say, I'm going to try to be really neutral while we talk about this, and you're welcome to ask me direct questions, but unless you ask me a direct question about my opinion, I'm going to hold it to myself and just reflect on yours. And once they got used to that, that was a very welcome positive thing. So when we talk things out as a family, we end up using a lot more SE-like tactics and nonviolent communication, things like that. We're much better at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Another reason to practice SE.
Yeah. Oh, are they waiting behind me here?
It's too late now.
Oh, I'm completely unaware that people are actually staying. I'm expecting them to come to here for some reason, but you know where the ultra wide is. But yeah, I am in the crossroads, and I guess the closest place is actually right behind me. So yeah, we'll try to engage them. Preferentially, have one of you engage them if I'm sitting right here. Yeah. One other thing that's happened is sometimes I will actually get tapped to make a communication or help my family with a communication that's difficult with other people. And sometimes it's, please tell me how to talk to this person, and then I'll say something and they'll model it, or they'll actually put me stand me there and have me do the communication. So my improved communications are better. Oh, and one other really important thing is one of my goals this year is to grow a much thicker skin. And that appears to be working really well.
And how did you go about that?
Early on during the first half of the year, I actively hung out on Christian apologetic servers, Discord servers, and engaged SE with anybody on any topic, which was almost always about Christian apologetics, and that really helped, because that was probably the area where I had the hardest time shooting my messengers, because I used to actually know this stuff, and when somebody said something completely daft, like, no, there's no slavery in the Old Testament, or something like that, I just couldn't let it go.
Right.
Exodus 20! Come on! But now I'm like, okay. And they're like, huh? And then they'll tell me, oh no, but it was different. It was a different kind of slavery. It's not the term. Okay. Addison, you have a claim to be interviewed on it. Not sure. That's fine. Let us know. Let us know when that happens. Shrieks, waves high.
Yeah, with my family, I think it ranges the whole gamut because I have people who on far ends of the spectrum that are included in our family, and I have people who really want to talk to me about it and are interested in SE and what it is, and then I all the way to the people who just don't even want to recognize that this is a thing and I'm doing this thing. So it's just I think it's interesting.
So that seems like a lot more of a thing. If they actually like avoid wanting to recognize it.
Yeah.
I mean, with Reed and his family, he's avoiding informing them. Yeah,
they're avoiding
just
me.
leaving them out of the loop.
Yeah.
And that actually, I think that's perfectly wise. There's no need at all. My first answer: what should you SE your family? If you want them SE'd, have somebody else do it. That's my first answer.
I think they're afraid to bring things up because I might use SE, and you know what I mean?
Because
people don't want the beliefs changed unless they're asking to have their beliefs changed, right?
Yeah. Critical thinking can be very erosive to bad thinking. Yep.
I think the outer walking trail might get more traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean you have to pack up everything?
No, if we want to do this again at some point.
Yeah, just on another day.
It's not too bad.
We did at El Prado at one point move about 10 meters, and it took about 90 seconds. It was not a big deal. We didn't even cut the live stream. People with their little tiny dogs.
Have you guys ever hit university campuses like Anthony, or?
We did. The first time I worked with Reed was maybe the last week in January at UCLA, and we did that through March. And we recently checked, and UCLA is very much closed to anybody who doesn't have official reasons to be there right now. It's reasonable.
They don't hassle you when you're there, like administration?
Not when we were there, no. I expect if we were to go there now, it would be, we'd get the funny look. But yeah, prior to March, it was just fine. We were in an area where students, there's places for tables all along a section, so it's like if you're doing student activism or trying to do outreach, or you have a club or something like that, it was the designated place to go, and it was so it was very much in the spirit of that location for us to go to that spot. And I would hope that the parks were also very in the spirit of, getting and talking to people.
Yeah.
Obviously with pandemic stuff. So, I'm very happy to hear that there are a couple of vaccines with some, if I just believe their numbers right off the bat, with some promising numbers.
Yeah. So,
don't know.
What's your guess on how many people will actually take the vaccines?
Oh, I think it's going to be somewhere between 80 and 90%.
Oh, you think that many Americans will take?
Yeah, I think so. My understanding is, okay, first of all, I qualify that disproportionate thinking is highly tied to numeracy, and I mean numeracy like literacy for letters, numeracy for numbers. You don't have to be fantastic at math to understand how to proportionate things.
We're doing interviews
Um,
today. If you'd have time for our podcast.
Oh yeah.
I think we may have an interlocutor.
We have water as well. If you want one.
Sure, yeah, can I get water?
Water. So quickly, I understand that about 5% of people are
This is Julia.
insolvably unmathy. That about 5% of people just aren't going to do math and aren't going to learn it, and that's totally fine. We only need actually a small fraction of us to do math. The rest of us can take care of it. And about 15% of people are
It's our podcast. He'll explain.
I'm going to go to an interlocutor. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, we're doing street epistemology in the park today.
Okay.
This is a process where we ask you something you believe, something you think is true,
Okay.
and we are live streaming. And
Great.
so are you okay being live stream recorded?
I am.
Okay. Please put on the headphones so you can hear us really well.
Okay.
Mask.
Let me do that.
Oh, and Kimberly, would you grab on a mask?
I have a mask.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
These are 6 suggestions. Did you see any of those?
As liberalism and neo-fascism are any gender norms here to stay? Any human walk them on?
Just suggest.
I'll go with the, is there such thing as a non-racist?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah.
I guess.
Yep. Okay, is there such thing as a non-racist? Is that something that can be?
Well, first of all, I feel like lately my interpretation of what racism is
Mm-hmm.
and what others may seem to believe
Mm-hmm.
is different. Not saying one or the other is correct or so most part, you know, I feel like racism always has like a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I believe that racism is anytime any prejudgment I guess statement or action is made based on race.
Okay.
So primarily that's going to be in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
But even like I feel like there's positive racism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question of whether it's possible is it possible for any person to be sufficiently unbiased in this regard as to
Yes.
a little puppy?
Definitely.
Uh
I feel like it is possible, but as far as have I ever seen that? No.
huh.
I feel like racism is everywhere,
Okay.
and it's. I don't want to say it's like she's like really into balls.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand what's going on here with the puppies.
Oh. Okay.
What's your first name?
Oh, and what's your first name?
My name is
Want
Phil.
me to hold her
Hello,
in
Phil.
the meantime?
Yeah. Can someone hold? Julia, calm down. It's not for you. Hey. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you, Julia. Okay, so it's possible for some people to be effectively unracist at all, but racism exists everywhere, maybe systemically.
Systemically, and I feel like part of it is like how we're raised,
Okay.
personal experiences that we've had with a certain race,
Yeah.
whether it had anything to do with race or not. It could be a coincidence, but I do feel that it's possible. Like, let's say somebody was isolated and never saw another race.
Okay.
In that situation, I would say, well, how could they be racist? But without a control group and just people just living their lives,
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word impossible, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's not realistic.
I grew up in a very racist environment,
Okay.
so I had no choice but to probably be quite racist when I was maybe 20 or something.
Okay.
These days, I find almost nothing of that in me that I see,
Yeah.
and I bet there probably still is.
Uh-huh.
I'm just not sure I'd like to get rid of it. If there is any. I'd like to find it. and pluck it out with tweezers.
But do you believe that there's, I guess, there's reasoning behind why certain people are racist?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. If you're trained racist and you didn't know any better, and your parents taught you this, if you've got racist parents, you're gonna start off racist. There's no, a child has no choice in this.
That's probably, I agree with that.
Yeah. I think there's also, in mammals, just in general, we learn to relate to people that look like us different than people that don't. There's an in-out group natural thing. I think I had to learn to expand my out group to all humans.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to ask, but this is kind of an example.
Sure, you can ask me anything.
I'm only going to use this because I'm Asian.
Yeah.
So I guess there's like a racist stereotype.
Yeah.
Even though they say, oh, that's not racist, that's just a stereotype. But this is, I feel, a racist stereotype.
Okay.
That Asian women are not good drivers.
Oh.
That may sound racist, and that's definitely not all the way true, like a blanket statement. But I do believe that is more often true than not.
Okay.
And like, even whenever I used to take my mom to drop her off at like a Korean supermarket.
Yeah.
In that parking lot, I would always be more careful.
Okay.
And obviously I wasn't raised to think that way.
Okay.
That was just based upon my experiences.
Okay.
From being fender benders. And then I also feel like it almost stems to a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Where women in that culture, I'm talking about typically maybe Koreans.
Okay.
They're not as, I guess, from a childhood, like maybe in my parents' generation, as encouraged to, you know, drive from an early age or something like that. So that could be causes of why maybe they're not as good
I bet
drivers.
women in Saudi Arabia, on average, don't drive as well as men because they haven't had the option.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're basing that based upon race, but it's not just because of their race. It's the culture and everything behind it.
It's a cultural thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, if someone asked me, hey, do you think, like, if we did like a sample size, a huge sample size, like more like women from 40 to 60 Asians versus like Caucasian females, like which one do you think has like more like accidents or fender benders? Like, yeah, honestly, I would say probably Asians. And I guess that's racist, but this is just what I've seen and what I've experienced. In that sense, I feel like I do feel like there is an importance of knowing like some type of statistical background when you go into a situation. Yeah. Just like I would be more fearful of my younger sister going down a dark alley, and if I was seeing what she's seeing and it was like a male figure, not even including her, she's male, then a female. Because I feel like even though a female can do just as much damage, especially like these days, like whether they're trained in martial arts or whatever, I just feel like
tools are great equalizers. We're very tool usery. Yeah.
I feel like dogs are pretty similar. They're not racist, but just based upon like what experiences that they've seen or felt in situations with a certain type of race, I guess. I see them react differently. So I don't know if it could ever be fully eliminated. I definitely think most racism is definitely bad. But, and I don't want to say it's like it's innate in us to be racist, but I do feel like it is part of us to make prejudgments. So I think the more we're cultured, the more we are able to experience other things than what we've always known, like from growing up from either our parents or our environment, that will give us new ideas to what that type of person originally you thought could be or is going to be. Yeah.
So, in there, I'm trying to come up with one claim that was made that have a confidence, and I'm not sure I have one.
So as far as going back to your question, to keep it simple, I would say it would be nearly impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a member of the audience asks, is it racist if it's true?
No.
It's not racist if it's a true thing.
I mean, it's still racist.
It's still racist if it's true.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, I just think anytime any like prejudgment statement or action is made solely based on race, it's a racist, like, I guess, action or statement, or because unless you like got to like talk to the person and asked them or whatever, and then you still concluded to an answer.
Yeah.
But just based upon like a lineup, and we saw like, you know, I'll use a different example. Like, hey, like honestly, out of all these people, I feel like, I don't know, the tallest person will be the best at basketball.
Yep.
That's not based on race. It's just based on height.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
That's pretty fair.
But I'm sure we can both admit it's not always the case.
Yeah.
So it's sad that I think that we do use race as not a precursor, but as something that we, I guess.
I think if you're 7 feet tall in the U.S., you have a 1 in 7 chance of having been in the NBA,
or at least scouted, or like at least got a scholarship to play Division I.
Like
basketball.
1 in 7.
Yeah.
It's like okay, yeah.
Exactly. So I think the better I guess possible outcome is the effort that people try to make to kind of like get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And because to be honest, like I'm a pretty prejudiced person.
Okay.
But at the same time, I definitely think I'm an open-minded person.
Yeah.
So I do feel like I'm pretty like confident in my experiences and judgments for me to, you know, conclude to like saying something. But at the same time, I'm definitely open, and I feel like humble enough to know that I can be wrong.
So imagine that we listened to your position really well, and in general, the whole population moved toward your position. What would happen? What would change in the world?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm not a. I think individualism is really important. And
I'm not talking about they just conformed. I mean, you told them, and they became convinced.
That kind of idea.
Imagine that they became enough convinced by what you're saying that you had a profound effect in the world. What would that effect lead to?
I never thought about it that way, because I never really like was asked in a matter where like it would be a reflection of everybody else after that. But yeah, I would like to think that it would be a better world, because I hope that I'm living my life so that it's making a better world. So if I'm saying that everyone is going to adapt the same type of like methodology that I'm thinking, I would like to hope that, you know, people would be open-minded enough that even though they were repeatedly persecuted or judged by a certain race, that they can still have an open mind and heart to know that it's not always the situation, and it's not because of their race that they were doing that to you. But and it's okay to kind of have feelings like of not only resentment but of fear. But you know, when we let those type of emotions control our lives, especially our decision making, it really not only like cripples us, but I feel like hinders us. So I mean, if you live a life of fear, you're always going to kind of get those similar type of I guess results, whether it's you just avoid it, or I'm not saying that we always have to face all of our fears head on, but you know, just having the idea that like not everything that you've experienced is how the world works, I feel like will allow people to kind of give not only others a second chance but themselves, and like kind of like giving them enough hope that, hey, even though like in prior situations, like particularly with this race, I've experienced, let's just say, something negative and bad, and something that I can't even begin to kind of like I guess like understand, because to be honest, I've experienced like bits and pieces of mostly name calling racism, which is to me like so like I'm not affected by, I guess.
Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been called the worst. So, but you know, like when we're able to kind of like, you know, like not let just like bad negative experiences, especially if it's just we're just like, because we're talking about racism right now. You know, just so that they can like, because it only takes one person, I feel like. Because I've had a friend that was similar to that, where they were
one person to what?
to change their mind, even though it took like 10 people to make them feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And they said, and then them to blanket that, hey, all, like for instance, this example was like he was very racist amongst the Mexicans.
Okay.
I don't know if because of the store that his parents owned in a very highly affluent Mexican area.
Okay.
I'm thinking just in a poorer neighborhood as well too.
Mhm.
But anyways, so he just always kind of had that like, and I don't know how serious and how much validity it was behind it, but always kind of made like slight remarks, even if it was regarding eating Mexican food or something like that. And then one day out of the blue, this guy calls me and he's crying.
Oh.
And I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, dude, man, like, it was, I don't know, like he couldn't barely talk. Basically, his car broke down. It was in a bad, sketchy neighborhood.
Yeah.
He had no idea what, it was kind of a brand new car. And then all of a sudden, a car pulls up to, and at first he was scared, but he felt okay because there was kids in the back.
Okay. Nice.
And then it was night, and then some Mexican gentleman jumped out of his car, hardly spoke any English.
Yeah.
Started, without words, just started helping him.
Yeah.
He noticed he didn't have the proper tools to fix his tire, and then basically did everything.
They handed him the right luggage.
Yeah, without any,
fantastic.
yeah, without any like type of like, they didn't even exchange numbers or whatever. He
Right,
just,
right,
it was
there's no contract.
literally he felt like it was angel sent down.
Wow,
and like,
cool.
and was telling me this, and then like, in the beginning I don't know if he said it and I just didn't catch it. Like, I didn't even realize the person that helped him was a Mexican guy. He was just like, yeah, like, you know, like I can't believe I felt this way,
Okay.
you know, towards this, right? And then like, obviously he was able to shoot me so many previous examples, but this one man changed his whole, you know, and this sounds, I don't know if this makes the story any better or whatever, but he's now married to a Mexican woman, and obviously so his kids are, you know, half Mexican, and you know, so as much as like bad experiences can, you know, I guess mold us into like a certain like a way or a feeling about like a group of people, I hope that you know, when the opposite, I guess, scenario happens, that they could also be open-minded enough to know that, hey, like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so,
good. It seems like one event is not a good reason to change your mind about a whole group, but in this case, I'm going to take it. Okay,
That is true.
because I already think that in general, almost everybody are really nice people.
You know what? That's really cool, because he shouldn't have thinking it as like, oh, now that they're all like. He should have realized now how stupid he was to think that.
It was just the error before. It wasn't that this. Yeah.
Because it's also foolish to think you're right just because one person, like everyone's going to be nice, but at the same time, just to know that, and you have hope that, you know, every person is capable of that.
Yeah.
So.
I have a question from the audience. Can a person have a conversation about race without being racist?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And then.
I feel like we are doing that right now. I mean, I don't know. I could have said some things that people might feel as though is racist, which I wouldn't like argue with. Because at the end of the day, I'm starting to realize that there's no like. I remember when I had this argument recently with a friend, like, because I was like, you know, even like when I was a kid, like someone would be, oh, you must be good at math because you're Asian, whatever. I was like, hey, that's racist, but that's positive, right? He's like, no, that's not racist. If anyone says anything positive, it can never be racist. So we had this big argument about. Like I said that, hey, anytime someone just makes any type of judgment based upon race, I feel like it's racism. But he's like, no, only if it's like, hey, like
only negative.
If it's negative, yeah. And then like we even looked it up in the dictionary, and then it did say something like in a negative. It didn't say anything like what I was saying. So I was kind of like, oh, you know. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make what the dictionary say right. It's how we interpret these words as to what we feel is behind it. So
I think I can come up with lots of easy examples of very racist things that I could say that are all positive. Like white people are better at.
Yeah.
Okay, would that take care of it? You know.
Yeah.
Old white men are, you know, in the positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah,
thank you very much for it. I don't have any further questions from the audience, and I got through my whole flow chart.
Yeah, thank you. Is it? Would I be able to hear this podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now it's being live streamed.
Okay.
We're happy to show you where it is.
Okay.
He has a card.
Okay.
It's being live streamed to YouTube and Twitch.
Okay.
And then, sometime maybe tonight or tomorrow, I will take and lop each of the conversations into its own video, so you can watch it by itself.
Okay.
And it will probably mention Phil and Julia.
Julia, yes.
Yes. Phil, Julia's human.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Trying to be.
Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'd like to give you one of those puzzle pieces.
Oh.
One.
Oh,
You can
okay.
pick any one of the three. It's an
Okay.
obvious bribe to have you come back for more conversations.
Ah, I see. There
Blue
we go.
for the win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You guys have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for that card. Oh, thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. Come on, Julius, go find mom.
All right. Kimberly, would you wipe those? And of course,
from the
a blue
umbrella fiasco.
Yeah. So I just decided to completely ignore that. What happened? They fell down.
Nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
We've lost white.
They fell down and not toward me, so I ignored them. Oh, okay. Oh, look, it's bright.
The wind changed directions and it
Yep,
became
yep.
a sail.
So we attached them to a couple of chairs. Hey, you can probably see it on the wides or the variouses. Okay, so the regular wide appears to not be great.
Regular wide
there-
is offline.
The regular wide is offline.
Should I refresh?
Try it.
No internet.
No internet. Okay. It should be connect for Rainbow Connection. Would be the hotspot. And I still have connection here, so I can confirm that Rainbow Connection is live.
I'm just watching what you're doing.
A bunch of people approaching.
Aha.
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm not showing rainbow connection.
Dali might be
It's not
worthwhile.
showing as an option.
Nope.
Okay, I'm showing that I'm connected to it from this tablet. What are you saying, FK?
It might be wise to stand up maybe
found
and invite them.
Yes. Hello. Free water.
Thank you.
We're also doing free speech if anybody's up for an interview.
Good, thank you.
It's a super long leash.
Yeah. There's a training leash going on there, and I'm going to guess that is 15 to 20 meters long, the leash.
Okay, it shows connected. Do you want to get it set up?
No Windows connection. We don't have any Windows devices with us. Freaks. This is Android, which I understand is Linux somewhere underneath, and iMac and Apple, which I understand is Linux underneath.
Wide is back online. Please do not zoom as much.
How about that?
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
What if only one race was affected by a certain disease? Would it be racist to point that out? Does it seem like a good first step? That is interesting. I can point out that there are several diseases that are genetic that only exist in Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazi are the Jews from Europe, as opposed to the Sephardim Jews, which are from Africa and the Middle East. Tassacks? Am I saying that right, Mark?
Tay-Sachs.
Tay-Sachs? Okay. Tay-Sachs, okay. And what are the Tay-Sachs? Are they they are a Mac being Linux is racist. No, I don't think so. Yeah, what's judging about diseases? Yeah, there's some genetic disorders. Oh, Tay-Sachs is the name of the disease. Yes, thank you, Mark. And I don't think it's racist to say that some people have different diseases. I think that many people who can have sickle cell anemia also have that makes a big difference in their susceptibility to malaria. So it's a positive and a negative, but it's real. Nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. Ouch.
22 viewers on Discord, 8 viewers on Twitch.
Good to know. Good to know. There is. So, Edison is talking about a Twitch milestone. What would that milestone be? Is that something that...
I'm trying to get 75
Free water.
concurrent viewers.
And we're doing free speech. Yeah. Yes. I'm going to give up my seat.
Could I have your name? Just
Sergio.
first name is good.
Sergio.
Yeah.
And are you okay with being live streamed?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Here. We probably already did this, but I'm just going to do it just for... All right. See, that should be nice and fresh.
Should put those on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you're an iron.
Cool.
Is this working? Hello?
Yeah.
Testing. I can't really hear myself. Why can't I hear myself? Testing. That's better. There's my headphones. Okay. Alright, so how are you doing today? What was your name again?
I'm Sergio. I'm doing all right.
Sergio. Cool. My name is Reed. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Do you come to this park often? This is our first time at this place.
I come often.
Yeah, it's really nice. Super open, nice little hills and stuff,
Yeah.
and just this random little bridge in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cool. Yeah, did you mostly just walk around and hike and stuff, or what?
Sometimes I come here running. Today we just came to get some Popeyes. That's my brother over there.
Cool.
We usually-
Popeyes.
Yeah, we usually take the metro here, get off at Chinatown, but today we actually drove.
Okay, cool. Sweet, love it. So yeah, we were just doing some interviews, doing some conversations today, trying to practice this way of having a conversation called street epistemology. And did you see the topics over there? Discussion questions.
I saw a few of them, yeah.
Anything strike your fancy? Anything sound interesting?
Let's see. Can
Any
we take
strong-
a look at them again, or?
Sure. We can go take a look again. They don't have to be these topics. These are just suggestions. It could be really anything you've been wondering about.
I'll let you choose. All of them sound all right to talk about.
Do we have the dice? We don't have the dice, I don't think, ready. Maybe I can ask. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Is climate change
Is climate change a threat? Want to talk about that?
Sure.
All right. And I'll try to keep my opinion, my position out of it, and you can ask me if you want after the conversation. And do you have any time limits? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Cool. And so, is climate change a threat? Any confusion about words with this question? Climate change, threats. How should we define these words for this question?
Oh, okay. Let's see. If I just hear it off the top of my head, I'm guessing climate change has something to do with the temperature rising, and threat could be any number of things that we think are detrimental to some individual or to us as a collective.
As a collective, okay, gotcha. And the temperature rising is one aspect of the climate changing,
Yeah.
and climate it's different from weather. It's like a separate thing. How should we define climate?
I guess like a meta weather, like overall.
Overall meta weather.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And all right, so is climate change a threat? I've got the little confidence scale thingy, and if all the way to the right in black is absolutely yes, it is, or not sure, or absolutely no. Where's your current confidence about it? If you have one.
I would say 2 tick marks.
You can use yours if you want.
I'd say right about there.
Cool. And what gets you to that level of confidence?
Well, I don't want to do either of the extremes, but I do want to stay away from the white side, just because I do think it's important, but I also don't want to be like freaking out, because then, you know, if we have mass hysteria about it, then we can't do anything about it because we're all too busy freaking out about it.
So if we're too confident about it being a threat, we might have like mass hysteria, and that might inhibit us from actually solving the problem if it is a threat.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's also a problem. You're not on the left side.
Yeah.
So cool. How do we know it is a problem? It is a threat.
We have to just inform ourselves. I guess I specifically don't have proof that I myself have done, because, you know, I'm not a scientist. I don't investigate things. I do have a degree in psychology, so I kind of learned like how scientists go about collecting data and like peer reviews and stuff. So I think I'm just gonna have to take their word for it.
Take their word for it. Who in particular? The climate scientists? Are those the best people to take the word from?
I would say so. Just people that are actually investigating, taking some measurements, and I feel like a lot of the times, if you go direct to the source, like you actually go to like journal, and I understand that not everybody has access to that, but most college students do. You know, if they go online, their college pays for them to have subscriptions to a lot of journals, and they can just look at the evidence for themselves.
Okay. So if someone was a college student and had access to a journal, what would be like the steps to figure out the actual data of this issue?
They have this cool thing like EBSCO-host, I guess. It's kind of like a Google thing, and you just type in the term, and they give you a list of articles related to that, and you can look at how they collected their data, what were their findings, stuff like that.
Any particular papers we know about for this, or how do we figure out which is the best paper to look at?
You look at a couple, and you come up with your own opinion about it based on that.
Okay.
And so I guess sometimes you can meet someone else that, you know, has also looked at some of these things, and they might turn you on like, oh look, but I wrote this here. What do you think about that?
What would the paper need to say in order to be that level of confidence about it being a threat? What would data need to show?
The data would need to show that some bad things are going to be happening, like the actual overall temperature rising, and the data would have to show that there would be some harm done to us because of that.
Temperature rising and some harm done. How specifically?
Well, we could talk about, let's see, I guess one of the things that they say about climate change that might be bad for us is it could lead to more unpredictable extreme weather, and that could have an effect on our food security in the future.
Right, so could have extreme weather events that affect crops or some other type of food supply, or maybe fish, I don't know. I'm not sure. So that's one way to measure the harm of impact of climate change. Any other ways?
I think eventually it might affect our economy negatively, like economic growth.
Economic growth? How would that work?
Well, I think companies are gonna have to, in order to stay profitable, they're gonna run into like some problems caused by climate change, like maybe wasting way too much money that could be invested in other places to regulate the weather inside for their workers, or to produce certain crops, or to produce certain products. You know, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, we can just go get this material from this place because now it's maybe not there anymore, or costs for energy go through the roof because you know, we're running ACs 24/7, and then in the winter we're burning fossil fuels to stay warm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's use the scale again for another question
Sure.
to get a scale about. If, like, this is all of life on Earth is dead, and this is like utopia, where on this scale is climate change in terms of a threat? And I guess where should 50 be? What's a good metric? I'm just making this up on the spot.
Okay.
This is a threat scale.
Yeah.
How much of it is climate change on this scale today? Will it change in the future? Was it not as bad in the past? For today, what's the threat level scale for climate change?
Mhm. So I don't have any evidence to base this on, just
Just your gut feeling.
my
right
gut
now.
feeling, yeah.
Your gut intuition for it.
I would say, it's interesting that I would put it around as similar as the other one.
Okay. And what's similar in terms of threat level for this? Does this mean, how could we have a metric for this level of threat? What's the best way to figure that out?
Alright, so we're measuring how bad we think it is right now, right?
Yeah, what's our threat level scale? How is it measured? What's a good way to measure that?
Alright, so let's see, this would be, humans are not having an impact on climate, right? Like at all? Like we're not doing anything that's changing it?
Just in generic threat level to humanity, to human
Yeah.
society, to life on Earth.
Yeah, this is like, okay, we're not causing anything, you know?
Nothing
Like,
bad is happening to
n-
humanity. or
nothing
to
bad is
life.
happening.
Okay.
And over here, we start getting like, okay, you know, like our asthma's going up. We're seeing like some situations happening.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, it's like significant people or the quality of life is being deteriorated.
Quality of life deterioration. Okay.
Yeah, over here we have more people are dying.
Mm.
And over here, like you said, everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Existential extinction, pretty much. Okay, and climate change is where right now?
I'd say it's like right here.
Oh, right there. So people are dying for this.
Yeah.
How are people dying right now?
Like, let's say you live near a freeway. Your chances of getting asthma or some other disease are a lot higher. Cancer rates are higher among highways and stuff like that. So we are seeing like a lot of people have these diseases that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Okay, climate change is causing increasing rates of asthma. and
Yeah.
stuff? How is that connected?
Well, it's connected because there's something that's causing the climate change that's also causing the asthma,
Okay.
which is the burning of fossil fuels.
Well, the burning of fossil fuels, like particulates of fossil fuels in the atmosphere,
yeah.
in the air, and that causes asthma if there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. And what could we learn to shift our confidence about the threat level of climate change? What would make it go higher? If something, would just more of the same stuff need to be happening, or is there a specific thing that would?
Yeah, just like an increase of people realizing that they're attributing negative things. Like, let's say, a company is not being profitable anymore, and they're like, oh, look, it's because of this that's caused by climate change, or more people dying, more people getting sick.
More sickness, more asthma, and like stuff like that, and more, hurt businesses. More businesses not being as profitable due to certain effects of the supply chain getting infected by climate change area. All right, what would we need to learn? What could we see to be less concerned about it as a threat? What would have to be the case?
Yeah, we'll see a reduction of negative impacts, bigger yields for food, less disease amongst people, less scarcity of natural resources, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Cool. Any other questions we should ask about this topic? Anything else to think about?
Just keep getting good data. Keep trying to see what are these negative effects, and are they going up? Are they staying the same? I feel like a lot of time we know something bad is happening, but we don't know which way we're moving on it sometimes. Some people will have you believe that, oh, we already took care of it. And some other people will have you believe, like, it's getting worse. Why aren't you doing something about it?
Yeah, so if it is a pretty significant threat and you were in charge of any kind of policy you wanted to make in the United States or the world, what kind of policies would you suggest
Yeah, I would
start happening?
I would move to clean energy. I definitely think that the technology is getting there right now. I think an investment would help everyone. It would be a win-win situation.
More clean energy.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other things?
I think shifting away from car culture, especially here in Los Angeles, we have things like the metro that if we invest more in it, the better it's going to get, you know. It's cleaner for the environment.
More efficient, just
more
public,
efficient, yeah, more efficient public transit.
More efficient public transit. Nice. Anything else?
I would say those two would be my personal big things, and I do see maybe hopefully the new administration going in. I know they have some plans for high-speed rail. I think that's another thing that could help our country as a whole move away from the highway system and get places faster. I was talking to some cousins that live in Oklahoma. I have some other cousins in Texas. We were trying to get together, do something for the holidays. We do see like, oh man, it's gonna take us forever if we drive. We're not sure if we want to invest in a plane ticket. It's like, man, if we had high-speed rail, I could just get there.
Just get quick. There.
Yeah.
Quick. That sounds great. Love that stuff. And what was your name again, sorry? Sergio. Yeah, appreciate the conversation. And if you see us again, we'd love to pick it up and maybe talk about something else.
All right.
And we'd like to offer whoever we talk to one of these little squishy puzzle pieces, if you'd like, as a gift and as a reminder for the conversation. And another, if you come back and get another piece and fill out the set, or if you want to.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. And appreciate the conversation. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Later. That was nice.
All right. You mean these squishy?
Yeah, feel free to take one if you'd like. Just one piece.
Just one. Okay.
Whichever color you'd like.
I'll take the blue.
Nice. Have a good day.
Well, that was fantastic.
Cool. Okay. Oh no. Well, oh well.
The wide died. Aha. And the wide is dead.
Still dead. Yeah. Well.
Okay, so let me look at the wide.
Freak says it's okay on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have number 2. Okay. No need for number 2.
Cool.
I need to hit the restroom.
Okay. Okay. Any feedback on that? Okay. Looks like the shadow is about to cover the cart. Maybe. sun does not get very high in the sky this time of year. You can see downtown Los Angeles right there. Oh, maybe his brother, what did he say? Wanted to chat, maybe? Still people walking around. And no one has told us to leave yet, so that's another bonus. .2. People are going around the trail.
Told Dolly the ones that are walking obviously around do not want to be involved.
Yeah. Give it back to Dolly.
So they're not walking in front of here? Oh, maybe we're being unkind. Free walk. Free speech. It's like music. This is the
Handed him back to me before he dashed. Want to reset host, Dolly?
reset host. Sure.
No, what do you mean? You're probably still reading.
Okay. I didn't. Tell me. Okay.
Not ideal.
Uh-huh. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Even wide. Okay. Train going in each direction on the yellow line just passed. I'm guessing it wasn't very noisy for you. It's all that electric train stuff.
how's the wide now? I'm using my iPad.
Is the wide working? Let's switch to wide. Looks pretty okay. How bad is wide plus face to face? It's looking okay in the moment, I guess. I mean, at low resolution. I should stop yawning. Uh-oh. Am I yawning?
Yeah, that area is much more traffic.
Okay. This just leads to the bridge to nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a bridge to nowhere. It isn't. There's a left turn you can make off the bridge that keeps going off in that direction, but it's like public art. Alright, let me turn off the SE sign. Just go to wide. You see that bridge? That bridge kind of doesn't. I mean, it covers a culvert across the thing, and then it's like a viewpoint. Interesting to make a bridge there. And I forgot the juggling balls today. Yet again.
Tragedy.
Yeah. Maybe it doesn't matter much.